ask you about Tamari, and I know you addressed some of this post game, but she, as I say it, she takes people's souls sometimes with those blocks. And I saw it again against Auburn, where they drive in, they see her, and they're like, okay, bad idea, I'm gonna go this direction. Those things don't show up in the stat sheet, but how big of an impact is what Tamari gives you now, and how critical is it to get those kind of minutes from her as often as you can?
Well, I think what we were able to see from Tamari was what we haven't seen in about a year and some change. She affected their offense by, like you just said, by more than just blocks and even contests. There were some U-turns that were made by the guards as they drove in the paint. And, that's what she can do. And obviously her presence was so great on the defensive end. We needed her in there, and she got extended minutes. So she affects the offense. She affects what the other team is doing, and we'll continue to work towards lengthening that, progressing in other areas as well.
Something that kind of stands out from Thursday is, going to halftime down. Third quarter really just turned the whole game around. It was only really the second game you had Tamari Rakia fully back, just to see that. I don't know, that energy shift, their ability to change that game in the first game of SEC play. Just how encouraging was that, and how important is that? I guess to get under their belts, know they can do that.
Yeah, I think that was really good. I think changing the complexion of the game from the first half to the second half, coming out after halftime, making a couple adjustments, being a little bit more aggressive. I think it started with our defense. We were able to get stops and then push the ball, which led to some great transition opportunities for our team. Having Tamari out there pretty quickly in the third quarter, I think affected their defense, our defense in a positive way. I think Jasmine Powell being on the court for extended minutes, not due to foul, in the second half was important. And then Rakia being Rakia. I just think everybody felt good about how we were playing. We got off to a great start. We had some subs come in, and then even ramped it up when we subbed. So glad to see that. I think it's great for our confidence, but also just our understanding of the toughness we need to have in the SEC.
Now that you've kind of had Rakia back full go for a game, how would you describe this team's offensive identity?
Well, I think right now we look for her. There's no doubt about it. Every person on the court knows where she's at. Probably the defense too. They all know where she's at. Our players look to throw her the ball. They want to get it to her. But I think we've done a pretty good job of finding some balance. She's our go-to. Everybody knows that. But when she gets double teamed, when they collapse, we have other people that can score. I think our identity is around her and utilizing our strengths. And whether that's getting some open threes, getting the ball inside, finding some drives. I think the versatility of our scoring is good, and obviously a lot of that is just built around what Rakia does.
The scoring is obviously nice, but how nice is it to have someone that can almost grab 20 rebounds as well?
Oh, that was great. The rebounding column was huge for Rakia in this last game. She has that ability. We want to continue to see her rebound at a high clip. I thought her competitiveness took over, and that's why she went and got a bunch of those defensive boards. We need the whole team rebounding at their best for us to be our best.
Coach, to follow up with Rakia, when she had that monster game against Florida State, I remember the double-double. I remember this is worth keeping an eye on. Of course, she got hurt, missed, nearly 7 weeks. Then she comes back with that monster double-double against Auburn. As you know, Patricia Roberts played, 1976, 77, is the only Lady Vol to ever average a double-double in points and rebounds. Glory Johnson, 9.8, came so close. Candace Parker came so close. There's a long way to go, but she could be in some rarefied air in rebounding, couldn't she?
Yeah, Rakia's a special and gifted athlete, and she's pretty motivated. She has that ability, and it's I think where she can really excel is if everybody is rebounding, then they can't necessarily key in on her. And she's right now being a ball hawk defensively. So we add a few more on the offensive end. She's capable. I mean, she really is capable. I do understand that's a big stat. right? And that's not something you throw around lightly, as you just said. I mean, a lot of amazing, great, talented players did not do that, but she has the ability.
It did quick follow up. Why is it so hard to do that?
Well, I think, here at Tennessee, one thing, I think we're known for rebounding. We always have been. And regardless of who the coach is, Tennessee was going to rebound. And I think it's across the board. And that number gets shared a lot. And it's not just one person's job to go rebound. So I think it's a product of playing with great players. But I think that could be an advantage for somebody like Rakia on our team. If we do our job technically on the defensive end and we box out, she's the recipient of being a ball hawk. Now she can go get those because everybody else has played position defense.
Something about Rakia's game, she's really starting to look for her three-point shot when it's there. Jasmine was finding her in transition on Thursday. Just how much has she kind of worked on that, and how valuable can that be to add to her game, especially not for her only, but for you guys too?
Yeah, I think she's really hard to guard anyway, but when she's making threes and you have to cover her behind the three-point line, she can take you off the dribble, she can post you up, she can flash to the high post, she can score in so many different ways. She started shooting the three really well in the spring, and it carried over in the summer. Obviously, we didn't get to see that when she got hurt, but she has the ability to knock it down, and she's shooting it well in practice also. So seeing her making shots in the game is not out of the ordinary for her. So really, really excited about her ability to really play where we need her to play. Is it behind the three-point line? Is it on the block? Is it at the high post?
What do you want Jillian Hollingshed's role to be on this team?
I still would love for Jillian to be a go-to player. But I think for us to get there, she's got to want the ball a little bit more. We need to look for her more. To me, there's no doubt. We're trying to figure out ways to get her more looks. I think for her, demanding the ball is her next growth point. She can score. She loves the face up. That's her favorite. Between 8 to 15, 16 feet facing the basket. That's her sweet spot. That's also Rakia's sweet spot. I can't have two of them in there in that same position. So we've got to continue to work with Jillian to find her role, to find where she can be her best self with this lineup.
You guys had a season high 25 points in transition on Thursday. Obviously, that was a huge piece of that game, but just going into tomorrow, what do you want to see out of the half court, especially with that shift with, helping Kaya settle into this role, and just what that looks like? Yeah,
well, I think we have really emphasized our pace and our transition offense, and I think that helped us against Auburn. I think Kaya's athleticism helped us because she got some points in transition. We've worked hard on our half court offense as well. Each game is going to look a little different depending on the opponent and their style of play, but sharing the ball, moving the ball, attacking inside, outside. We've had some really good games where we got the ball into the paint a lot. We've had some games where we shoot a bunch of threes. I think for us, it's taking what the defense gives us and finding where we want to attack. And it is a little bit different each game, but I think our players have done a really good job in practice feeling comfortable with our game plan offensively.
Looking at tomorrow's game, you'll face a familiar face in Brooklyn. Just what does she bring?
Well, Brooklyn is setting the tone for their defense. They're coming off a great win against Arkansas, and I thought Brooklyn was a big part of that in her tone. We know she's going to have high energy. She's going to be on the ball. She's going to play with every ounce of energy that she has. I mean, she gives so much effort. We're going to have to handle the ball. We're going to have to be poised when she's on us.
Just what are those dynamics like when you go up against a former player? Do you get a chance to say hi, or is it kind of business as usual?
I want to be very mindful of doing the right thing. I would never want an opponent's coaching staff to think we're tampering, that we're saying some things that maybe we shouldn't say. I want to be very professional. But at the same time, that's a player that we spend a lot of time with. So if I can get to her before the game and give her a hug, say hello, I'd like to do that.
Your defense has been on a pretty positive trend these last few games, held 4 opponents to 6-7 or less. sub 36% shooting. Just what have you thought of the improvement on the defensive end from your team?
Well, I think we have to be realistic with our defense and understand we're not going to be a sub 50 team. You know, that's not, I don't think that's realistic. But what we have been tracking on is, have we held teams under their average? Have we held them under their average points wise and or field goal percentage? We get a lot of possessions on offense, which is going to give the other team a lot of possessions offensively, which could lead to more points. So we have to take some of those stats with a grain of salt, but we really do look at their averages and how we're playing. And if we can beat their average right now, that's been positive. We've had a lot of those recently, so we like the kind of where our team is going defensively. We still know we can make strides, but I think we're definitely on a positive trajectory defensively.
You talked about getting below the average turnovers post-game against Auburn. What do you chalk up a lot of those turnovers against Auburn to?
Well, I think a couple things. I think you know, a few decision makings, a few playing too fast, but I just think we're remiss if we don't give that to Auburn. You know, I think their style of play gives them that opportunity. We had some that we could have done a better job of. We had a couple out of control charges. If we take those off the board, maybe one more bad decision that was on us, then, you know, maybe we're at the average. So, you know, but at the same time, I don't want to be arrogant about it and not give Auburn the credit that they're due.
And then how nice was it to see that your offense could still overcome those turnovers and win that game?
That was critical. And I think for us, it's not necessarily just the turnovers. It's, can we play in an ugly basketball game and find a way to win? Because we love the pretty, we love the package nicely, neatly. But can you be tough enough mentally, physically to grind out an ugly win? That's hard to do, but you are going to have to do it in the SEC. I mean, that is going to come repeatedly, and so hopefully for us, that gives us some confidence to be able to find ways to get wins, even when it's ugly.
Coach, you mentioned how important it was to get the first win out of the gate. Kentucky also got the first win out of the gate. What challenges does Kentucky present to the Sea tomorrow?
I think the first thing, when we watched them recently, man, they play hard. They play really hard. And they've got a post player that is scoring at a great clip. I mean, 16 and 11, statistically, she's doing a nice job. They get her the ball. I think they've been patient offensively to try to find good shots. They have players that understand their role. Maddie Shear is just an intelligent basketball player that knows how to make plays. And sometimes that play is just an easy pass. You know, she's really good at making the easy plays. I think, you know, and then when they play hard and they're getting after you defensively, that's what they're trying to build their team on right now. You can just tell that's where their energy is starting on the defensive end. And, you know, same thing, if it's an ugly game, you've got to be able to play through that.
Quick follow-up about Jewel Spear. That was a physical game. Somebody who was there said she left holding her upper torso. I know Rakia did too. She didn't play a lot in the fourth quarter. I realize sometimes that could be because of what another player is doing. But, you know, is Jewel okay and is everything fine there?
Yes, Jewel is fine. You know, very similar to, you know, to Mari being in the game. She was being very productive. Caroline Strickland did nothing wrong, but Tamari needed to be in the game. It's the same thing. I mean, Jewel made some good plays offensively, but down the stretch, we liked the lineup that we had in. We thought they were playing well together, and we just rolled with it.
What have film sessions been like with Kai? You've got a few games under the belt to show film and work through. Just what is her kind of, I don't know, what's it like to see her kind of process and learn through this new role?
Yeah, it's been good. I think she handles that well. She's been working, this is nothing new for her to work through film sessions. Obviously, it's a different role now, but I think she, you know, she wants to be good. She wants to get better. She wants to figure things out. And so I think just showing her some opportunities. I don't want to dwell too much on the Auburn game and the negative of that, because there were a lot of positives for her in that game. But as she continues to work through this new position, you know, I just love grabbing her in practice, pulling her over, talking through what we see, talking through what options are available, and then letting her go play.
She's one of the most intelligent players to come. She just seems like a really smart kid.
Yes, she works really hard. She works really hard, and you know, she's done a great job. She wants to go to she wants to be a doctor, you know, and she's gonna put in the time to be successful in the classroom. She's intelligent.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.